Hey, welcome everybody to week 15 of the NFL. We're in the middle of December. It's the December 13 edition of the Father, Son, and Holy Sport NFL show. I'm G-Man. There is T-Money. We're here to break down the NFL for you. Get you ready for week 15. Hey, the games start Thursday night. Kind of a quiet little game on Thursday night with the Raiders and Chargers. But we'll get into it, T-Money. We got a triple header on Saturday.
That'll be nice. Can't wait. I'm glad to have some Saturday football to still watch while college football is over. It'll be a fun weekend, man. It's coming down to the wire with the playoffs. Fantasy playoffs have just started. It's crazy week here.
Yeah, 30 teams still in the playoff hunt in the NFL, so a lot of people in play. And one of the guys that's not in play, that is not playing anymore after this season, is Bill Belichick. Just got announced. Belichick is gone as the coach of the Patriots. 83-100 as a head coach without Tom Brady. He's 28-36 since Brady left. But I still think he still goes down as one of the better coaches. It takes two to tango, T-Money. It takes a quarterback and it takes a coach. I think he did a great job. But since Brady left, obviously the record isn't showing much.
Yep. It's just a rumor right now being reported. It's nothing official. So let's start with that. He's going to get another job.
I don't know about that. I've got some inside action here.
Only one guy has reported this. He's going down as a GOAT. He's going to get another job. He'll be fine. He just can't be a GM anymore. That's it.
Well, that's it. He failed as the GM. We've talked about that many times on Father Son Sports.
Yeah.
He does not do the GM job well. And you know whose fault that is? Robert Kraft. Why don't they fire Robert Kraft? Doggone owner should fire himself. He's the one that gave him the GM job. And now Kraft's in there acting like he's all, he's the guy. He's going to rebuild this thing. I don't go for that stuff, man. Be a leader. Take some accountability, Kraft, for what happened. Hey, man, T-Money, I know. I got a little off track there, but it just happened. It's breaking news here, man. I don't know where you're getting your sources, but mine already broke over here. Okay? But, hey, let's keep going here and talk about some of these games coming up, T-Money. And one of the interesting games is this Dallas game coming up again against Buffalo. But before we get into that game itself, what about the Dallas team? Their leader, Dak Prescott. Big game by Dak last week, T-Money. They slaughter the Eagles. Is Dak now the front runner for the MVP? And would it change your mind, T-Money, if they lose to the Bills on Sunday?
No, I think Dak is the front runner. I would have him as my MVP. Definitely over, he's favored in Vegas right now. Him and Purdy have pretty much identical stats, except one.
Did you just say Purdy? Did you just say Purdy? Okay.
One has the weapons of the Olympic gods, and one has CeeDee Lamb, who wasn't even considered a fringe top wide receiver in the NFL this year, even though he has a cool name. So let's pump the brakes on comparing the two, because Dak Prescott clearly has had to do more with less, and as the weight of the world on his shoulders compared to Purdy, who's just happy to be out there. Dak's got pressure, not only being the face of the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys are the most talked about team in the NFL. The pressure on that guy's immense, and he's been performing in and out. They've just looked great so far. The past few weeks are on a 5-game win streak. They've won 7 out of their last 8. They beat Philadelphia and Seattle their last 2 games, putting up 33 and 41. He's the leader of that offense. I think Dak Prescott is clearly the MVP right now, even though I personally would vote Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Sounds good, T-Money. I'm agreeing with you, but hey, man, this guy behind me, he's got some weapons, and because of that, he's going to throw up some numbers, baby. And the Niners are going to keep on rolling. But so's Dak. But Dak is going into Buffalo. It's not going to be snowing there. I checked the weather. It's going to be clear but cold. But I think it's going to be okay in Buffalo for Dak here. But they're not favored. The Bills are favored in this matchup, 4 p.m. on Sunday, T-Money. That should be really interesting if the Bills win that game. That's going to, shock some people, don't you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. Vegas loves the Bills. They always love the Bills. I think the other thing is that the Cowboys are also only 500 on the road this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they are not that great away from AT&T Stadium, but Buffalo's reeling. They looked okay versus the Chiefs. They're not world beaters. And I think this defense slows down Josh Allen enough to where he's not a threat. I'm sure he'll throw a pick or two because that's what he does. And as long as the Cowboys play smart football, I think that the Bills defense can get got, especially in the secondary. I think Dak Prescott and the Cowboys easily win this game.
Well, all right. I want to talk to you about that game, but before I talk to you about that game, I want to go back to that Eagles thumping and just finish off with the Eagles side of things. How are you feeling about them? Are you concerned about them? And, are you concerned they can't make a deep playoff run?
Well, this is tough. I think there's a clear demarcation of the top three in the NFC. So talking about playoffs, right now, I think it's Dallas and the 49ers and the Eagles, right? So I don't think it's a matter of a deep playoff run. If they get lucky and Dallas and the Niners face each other before they have to face either one, they could easily and should make the NFC Championship. So deep playoff run, not too concerned about. But the last two games they've played have been against the other two leading candidates in the NFC in San Francisco and Dallas. And they put up 19 points and 13 points in both games, were a shellacking, as G-Man would say. So yeah, I'm a little concerned for them as Super Bowl contenders. I think they're clearly the third best team in the NFC, but I am concerned. Now, getting the 1 seed is a big deal for these guys. If they can beat Seattle this week, they have the Giants, the Cardinals, then the Giants. That's an easy way to get to the 1 seed there. If they just get past Seattle here, they have a pretty easy road to the 1 seed as long as the Niners or Cowboys lose. So you get that bye. You never know what happens. But I am concerned about their Super Bowl chances because both the other two contenders in the NFC just murdered them.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of agreeing with you there, but I'm not quite as worried about it. But you're not either, really, and I'm not worried about them either. But if I had to tell you, T-Money, you're an NFL team, and I told you have to play the Cowboys twice, the Chiefs, Bills, and 49ers once, what would you be happy with in terms of a record after those five games? Probably 3-2, right? Well, that's what they are. They're 3-2. They played the Bills, they played the Chiefs, they played the 49ers, they played the Cowboys twice. They were 3-2. In that series. So I'm not concerned about these guys. What I want to know is who's going to stop the tush push, okay, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. I hear they're talking about it. There's a league meeting in Dallas today. They're talking about the tush push, and should that be, outlawed in some way? It's the most dominant play in football. You cannot stop Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. If they're 4th and 1 at the 1 yard line, they're going into the end zone. Yeah. You can't stop it. And that is going to be probably a major issue in the playoffs. I would say issue. It's going to be great for the Eagles because nobody can stop this play and no one else can run it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the other interesting part of Jalen Hurts right now, he had 0 touchdowns in that Dallas Cowboys game. So the touch push at the goal line didn't even matter. He didn't throw a touchdown. He didn't throw for over 200 yards, which is very odd. He's thrown over 300 yards once in the last 6 games. So, his passing has just not been there this year. His overall stats look all right, but these past few games versus elite talent, it's been a struggle for him. So, like I said, I'm not clicking the panic button because, sure, they can make a deep playoff run, but I think that this year they've taken a step back with their defensive and offensive coordinator leaving. I do think they're no longer in the class of the Niners or the Cowboys.
Yeah, I was looking at the player props. I'll give my player props later under best bets. I was looking at Jalen Hurts because I think the Eagles are going to put up some points, but his yardage has been way down, as you said. His player props 250. So do you think he's going to get over 250 yards? He's been 4 of the last 5 games. He's been under 207. 4 of the last 5.
Yeah,
and his player props at 250, and he was only 197 last week. So you're right, man. The yards are not there for him. The prior 6 games, he was over 277, all 6 games. That's it. And after those 6 games, now the last 5, he's really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is what I told you. Those 5 games were against very tough opponents, as we mentioned. But hey, let's go to the AFC. Let's talk about the Bills again and looking at them moving forward now after this game. Will they be a dangerous team to face if they get into the playoffs, T-Money?
The Bills will not be a dangerous team.
Oh,
they're not a dangerous team. They're the roller coaster is becoming like the small kids roller coaster now of Josh Allen. Like, what his great game is 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and his low game is like 3 interceptions and no touchdown. There's no more high highs with Josh Allen. This team just played Kansas City and scored 20 points. You know, they had a great game versus Philly. They went to overtime. They should have won that game. And I'm not going to give them credit for beating the Jets. They lost to Denver and Cincinnati when they scored 18 and 22 points. I'm done with this team being talked about as some elite offense, because that's what everyone talks about, this team being dangerous. They don't talk about an elite defense. That part of them is gone. There's too many injuries, getting too old. They talk about this team because they have elite offense, and they just don't. They just don't. They have the potential. Sure. Zach Wilson just showed he had the potential to play football well last night. Do we think he's going to do it every night? No. He just showed he had the potential. That's the Buffalo Bills. All right? They might have the potential to hang 40 on anyone at any game. But are they going to do it? Probably not. Maybe once every 10 games. So they're the Zach Wilson. That's my new take. Bills are the Zach Wilson of NFL football.
I love it. Hey, well, I'll add a little bit color to what you said. I agree with you. Buffalo averages 5.8 yards per play. Okay, that's 5th best in the league. That's ahead of Dallas. Dallas is right there, though. They're 5.7 yards per play. So 2 great offenses in terms of yards per play. However, the turnover battle, Dallas ranks number 2 in the NFL, and turnover differential, Buffalo is 12th. It's not bad, but it's 12th. It's not elite like Dallas. So I think the turnovers are what are plaguing Buffalo from getting up to that elite level.
For sure. And look, I'll give them credit. Their run game has really come along. James Cook is starting to look like a pretty good running back. So, like, he's really come on as of late. Maybe that's Ken Dorsey's changing mind, getting him out of there and changing in the offensive strategy of trying not to lean so much on Josh Allen. So I give them credit for looking more like a complete team. Like you said, this team turns the ball over too much. They're too erratic, and they're just not a trustworthy team. And when it comes down to it in the playoffs, it's who can you trust? And I don't trust these guys to make big plays in the big moments. And I certainly don't trust Sean McDermott to make the right decisions, whether that be play calling, defensive, personnel, or just clock management. He keeps making bad decisions. So, do not trust this team to be dangerous at all.
Yeah. We got to keep recording in the afternoon and evening, because when you start waking up and getting in that mode, you get fired up, man. I love that. Hey, then I think they might win this game, though, Buffalo. They're at home. Dallas is terrible on the road. Dallas, the last 2 years, this year and last, they're 7-8 straight up on the road. And the Cowboys are 10-3, but all 3 losses on the road. I think Buffalo might get them, man. And I'd love to have Josh Allen on my team, but I can't stand playing against him. He's one of those guys, that you hate playing against, but you love to have him on your team.
I like playing against Josh Allen because he's going to turn the ball over to me a few times. So I'll take playing against Josh Allen any day.
Well, thanks for that, T-Money. And also thanks to our show sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com. You've got your last chance to get some Christmas gifts here. High-quality golf products. Pick up your golf game by getting some gifts for yourself for the spring. Enter FSHS. Get a 10% discount on your order. T-Money, Pittsburgh's having a really difficult time. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They could lose 3 of their next 4. Even so, is it fair for people to be calling for Tomlin's job when he has done so much for the organization?
Oh, man. I think it's time to move on from Mike Tomlin. I am kind of getting to that point, and we talk about this all the freaking time. You got to have offensive head coaches. This guy can't help the game. What's he over there doing? Rah-rah speeches and calling timeouts. Like, that's all this guy does. Like, he's not making defensive shifts. He's not calling offensive plays. And he can't help this team. And Matt Canada left, and everyone wanted to talk about these got 400 yards for the first time in 55 games. Like I said in that game, you scored 16 points. Let's pump the freaking brakes. What'd you do the next 2 games? 10 points, 18 points, 2 losses to 2 teams with 2 total wins. That hasn't happened ever in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let me repeat this. A team that has an above 500 record has never lost to a team that has below 500 and only has 2 wins in back-to-back weeks. I know it's a weird stat, but it just goes to show you how crazy this is that a playoff team lost to 2 2-win teams back-to-back this late in the season. Tomlin's lost this team. He has no control or understanding of the offense. You built a great culture. That's awesome. And Steelers love to stand on the fact that we don't fire our coaches. Well, you're not going to win a championship with this guy as your coach. And Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, I don't care who your quarterback is. You're not winning a Super Bowl with those guys at quarterback. So unless you want to just be the perennial 9-8 team, hey, great job. Mike Tomlin, never below 500. Who gives a shit? Win me a Super Bowl. All right.
Hey, man. Oh, my God. You're something else. Well, hey, going back to the bigger picture, postseason has been a disappointment over the last 5 years. You look at Mike Tomlin's record. I love Mike Tomlin. The guy is a leader.
He's great.
He's a great leader for your organization. But if you look at the results, postseason, the last 5 years, 2018, they missed the playoffs. 2019, they missed the playoffs. 2020 and 21, they lost in the first round of the playoffs both years, the wild card round. 2022, they missed the playoffs. This year, they're 7-6. They could miss the playoffs again. It's just not there, man. The results aren't there, even though I love the guy.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what place that would love Mike Tomlin? How about the Carolina Panthers? Just someone to come in, give them stable structure, build out a good-ass team, and get them to a place where they're perennially in the playoffs. That's what Mike Tomlin can do. Very much Mike Vrabel, very much a Bill Belichick type guy. But these guys can't help the offense. They can build you a culture. They can build you a team. But eventually, you got to get to the next level. And this team's too talented to be this stagnant. And
Carolina could be a good team. I also like 2 other teams, T-Money. See what you think about these. The Commanders. They're firing Ron Rivera. 100%. And they've got Bieniemy. Bieniemy has not worked out. Why is that? Is it because of Bieniemy or is it because of Rivera? The other guy that I think the other area that is opportunity is the Chargers. The Chargers have Kellen Moore. He has not worked out. When you look at Kellen Moore and Eric Bieniemy, 2 big hires in OCs, maybe supposed to be the next head coaches, both of them have failed, from my perspective, in 2023. Can a new coach, maybe it's this coach or not, but can a new coach come in and rejuvenate those offensive coordinators?
Yeah, so I don't like Tomlin for the Chargers because he doesn't call plays. I like Bill Belichick for the Chargers. I like the Commanders option. That's a good one. Howell's struggling there and Bieniemy struggling there because they've had a lot of offensive injuries and their offensive line has been horrible. Sam Howell's been sacked the most in the NFL. Tomlin's going to get a job immediately. Let's not act like he's a bum.
I mean, Kellen Moore's at the Chargers. You don't need Tomlin to call the plays there.
Yeah, but you don't want look, you need an offensive guy in there personally, unless
I don't know
if
you got a strong OC. If you have a strong OC, I don't know if you need the top guy to be strong at that. Yeah, if you have a weaker OC. But hey, man, next up for Pittsburgh, they're in Indy. This is the Saturday afternoon game, man. Get the middle game on Saturday. Check it out. Pittsburgh at Indy. All the games on Saturday. The 6 teams in the 3 games, they're all vying for the playoffs. 5 of the 6 have a record of 7-6, and including these 2, Pittsburgh and Indy, both 7-6. It's pretty much a pick-em game in Indy. We'll see what happens. See if Tomlin can get them going there, T-Money. Hey, let's go to the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears traded away their top draft pick last year because they were committed to Justin Fields. Do you think they should hang with him again this year and not go for a quarterback in the draft?
Look, I would say, currently I think they're like in fifth or sixth or seventh right now with their own draft pick.
Yeah.
But because they have Carolina's pick and they're going to have the
Yeah.
number one pick, you got to move on. Like Justin Fields has shown flashes. I'm impressed. He's done better this year. His completion percentage is up year over year. He's playing well. He's won his last two games. He should have won his last three. Detroit kind of stole one from them back in mid-November. And so I think he's playing well. He's clearly dynamic. I think someone like Atlanta could use this guy to get a little more explosive, right? And would Atlanta give up a second-round pick to upgrade from Desmond Ridder? Love you, Des, but, Justin Fields has got some elite skill set. He's the better version of Desmond Ridder. And so I think they would. And I would get Caleb Williams and get a draft pick for Justin Fields. And so, and like I said, if you're the fifth overall pick and you wouldn't get Drake May or Caleb Williams, I could understand, like, all right, let's give it one more try. But you got to make a decision on his fifth-year option this year. You don't want to pick up that and have to pay this guy $20 million. And on top of that, you're getting Caleb Williams. And so, unfortunately, it's Caleb Williams is all much a sure thing, as ever a sure thing as you're going to get. And so you cannot not draft Caleb Williams, and that means Fields has got to go, unfortunately. I think he's done a good job this year, proved that he could be at least a backup in this league. He was looking like he might be out of the league. And, he probably goes and gets a second chance somewhere where he can be a starter.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I totally agree. And I only reason I would agree is for the money, because they're going to pay Justin and they get someone, they can draft someone at a much lower cost. That's probably as good. So you do it for the money. Okay, fine. But there's Justin Fields, as you pointed out, is better than Ridder, and he's better than a lot of other quarterbacks. So he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I really think the Chicago organization, it starts at the top. They're making Justin the fall guy. It's the leadership that have put this team together. Yeah, they've won a few games here, but he has not gotten any help, man. They brought DJ Moore in. Okay. They've been a great connection.
Yeah.
And Justin looked great last game. The Bears were tied with the Lions 13-13. Justin fires a 38-yard touchdown to Moore. And then later in the fourth quarter, Justin runs in for a touchdown himself. They went 28-13. He had a great game. That's what he can do for any organization. And really, I think Chicago's got trouble at the top more so than blaming it on Justin Fields.
Totally agree with you. And look, we're getting rid of Eberflus. I think they should get rid of Ryan Poole. This team isn't that bad. Their defense is actually one of the better versus the run in the NFL now. Like, this is a good team. They really stymied the Detroit run game. It was pretty impressive. That Detroit offensive line is legit. And so, look, I like this team moving forward. And personally, I would rather, like you said, it's about the money at this point too, restart that rookie contract. And Caleb's potential is all-time great stuff here. He's one of the best recruits that's coming in since Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck. Like, that is his status right now. And I think his ceiling is higher. And so I would not pass up this opportunity. If they didn't have the number one pick, I think I'd agree with you, G-Man. But they do not, and they find themselves in Caleb Williams territory. You can't pass this up.
Justin, I agree. Justin Fields is increasing his value. He's going through an on-the-job interview in front of everybody. He's interviewing by performing, and the Bears are driving up his value because they're going to trade him to somebody. The Bears have won 3 of the last 4. They got a shot at the playoffs. They're not totally out of this yet. They could actually make the playoffs. And Justy, come on, man. Take them to the promised land, baby. Show them. Hey, let's move on to big bets, T-Money. Let's get some bets out here for some people who are trying to make some cash here, trying to get some Christmas gifts with some cash. Hey, we're going to give you the best pick of the week, called our lock pick of the week, and then we're going to give you our dog lock, which is our best underdog play, and someone who might win the game outright. Father-son sports, 70% against the spread this year, man. That includes accuracy in the games and player props. T-Money, 2-0 last week, baby. Way to bring that Father-son sports average up to 70%. I was just watching CBS Sports. Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco, they're under 500 in their NFL picks. Where we at, T Money?
We got to get
paid. Why are we
not
on these shows, man? This is crazy. We're killing this thing. Hey, let's go to our lock pick of the week, T Money. Who do you got?
Lock pick of the week here. I sent over my provisionals and have changed them up here. I'm actually going to go the Ravens -3 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. You want to tease that down to -2.5 to feel more comfortable? Feel free, my friends. The Ravens are feeling hot right now. All right. They've won 7 out of their last 8. They just beat the Rams and the Chargers on a little Los Angeles twosome. And so this team can put up points, man. Be careful, Jacksonville, who's on a skid right now and has lost their last 2. Trevor Lawrence is banged up, and they're struggling to score points right now. I think Jacksonville could be in trouble, and the Ravens are looking to potentially secure a 1 seed. Give me the Ravens -2.5 if you want versus Jacksonville.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you told me your dog lock. Did you change that?
I changed my dog lock as well.
Oh, you did not. You did not, because I was okay. Well, I've made an extra pick because okay. Then I'll go with my lock. Then if you change your dog lock, I'm gonna go with my lock. I'm gonna go on that game. I'm gonna pull this up here, T Money. Let's pull this up here, T Money. I'm going to Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan for my lock pick of the week. Denver coming into town. The Lions were up at halftime versus the Bears and end up losing the game. They're still 2 games up in the division, though. They're ahead of the Vikings. The Vikings would make the playoffs, though, if it started today. So the pressure is on the Lions here. They got to hold this. They got to win the division, and they've lost 2 of their last 3. Is the pressure getting to them? I don't think so. Lions are 6-0 against the spread, and their last 6 games following a loss. They're going to bounce back here. They're favored by 5. I just saw that went down to 4 just now. I got Lions -4. It was 5 this morning. But I'm going to go back to the well on this trend. They hit in New Orleans 2 weeks ago after they lost to the Packers. I think they hit here again, and they cover against the Broncos. Give me the Lions on Saturday night, baby. -4. Lock pick of the week.
Yeah, gonna be a spicy one with the Broncos. I might lean the other way, so that's an interesting game. I was leaning the other way initially when I sent over the pre-show stats, but there we go with my dog lock of the week. All right, my dog lock of the week, and I must have read this wrong. That's why I had to mix everything up. Give me the Cowboys. +1.5 versus the Bills. All right. I don't know how the Cowboys are favored. It feels disrespectful.
We talked about it.
I know. We talked about it already. They're tied for the best record in the NFL right now with the Niners, the Ravens, and Philadelphia. This team's on a roll. Every game matters for them because they can get the 1 seed, and they know how important home field advantage is for that team specifically. The Bills are reeling. This is do or die for them, and they didn't look great in that Kansas City game, only scoring 20 points, and they should have lost if not for an extra large big toe. So give me Dallas to go up north in the cold and pull out this win, maybe even in blowout fashion, +1.5. Thank you for the points, Vegas.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good, T-Money. You got 1.5 on that. I'm jotting that down here in our pick database, and T-Money's locked in right there for the pick. All right. I got 2 dog locks for you, T-Money, because I was planning on, you doing something different on your favorite. So I'm going to give the fans a special Christmas bonus, 2 dog locks. The first one is Cleveland Brown Stadium. Do you know Cleveland Brown Stadium is the only stadium, I think so, that still uses their city name? All the other ones people are advertising. It's crazy, isn't it? But Cleveland Brown Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. We got Cleveland there against those Bears we've been talking about. Consistency has been a problem for the Browns. The Browns are 3-10-1 against the spread after a win since the start of this season. The Bears are getting 3.5. They've won 3 of their last 4. Give me the Bears. I want the 3 plus that hook. Sunday at 1 in Cleveland for my dog lock pick of the week, T-Money. And my bonus pick, my Christmas bonus pick, dog lock, is in Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Hey, T-Money, do you know the Saints have been favorites 11 times and failed to cover in 9 of those games as the favorite? This team cannot be trusted as a favorite team, money. They're favored by 6 over the Giants. The Giants are starting to look like last season's team, money. Last season, they did the same thing and they made the playoffs. They've been an outright winner in 3 straight games as an underdog. Give me the G-Men +6 Sunday at 1. Christmas bonus lock pick of the week.
All right. I like it, G-Man. And let's go to everyone's favorite betting segment of this show, and that's G-Man's player prop of the week. What you got for us, G?
Fired up, baby. Fired up. 11-1 the last 3 weeks. Hit 3 out of 4 props last week, riding Joe Mixon and Dak Prescott, man. Hope you guys were on it. I got 3 props for you today. I got a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver for you. I like Brock Purdy. Here. Purdy over 265 passing yards. He's done that 6 of the last 7 games. I think that's too low for Purdy with all those weapons, team money. Give me that one. Hey, let's also look at Rachaad White, the running back for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Rushed over 63 yards the last 3 games. He can beat 63 yards. He's had over 100 yards 2 of the last 3. And I like the total scrimmage yards. I couldn't find it this morning. We're recording on a Wednesday. I like total scrimmage yards. He had 133 last week, total scrimmage. His total scrimmage yards is probably going to be targeted less than 100 yards. I like both of those plays on Rachaad White. And the last one I'll give you team money, Chris Olave for New Orleans, over 65 receiving yards. He is going to come back. He had a tough week last week, but his targets have been very high, and I think the targets will get back up there, and he'll get back above 65 easily. There's your prop bets there for Brock Purdy, Rachaad White, and Chris Olave. All right. Okay, let's go to fantasy, team money. Let's see what these fantasy managers doing. Are you still in the playoffs? Are you still in it, all you fantasy managers? I hope you're still listening and you didn't turn off this segment and you're still in it, man. Let's talk about fantasy. Let's also talk about DFS lineups because you can get into a DFS tournament now if you're out of your fantasy playoffs. It's still a lot of fun, and it's the same kind of thing. We're ready to go for you, man. Keep in mind we record on Wednesdays, so it could change by Sunday. Make sure you check the weather reports, okay? But we're going to play hot and cold for you to start things off here. I'm going to start with the hot. T-Money's going to give you the cold, and let's get to it. Okay, I'm doing at the quarterback this week, a guy I just mentioned already. Brock Purdy again, this time at Arizona. I recommended Purdy last week, and he was hot, man. He came through. He was only $6,500 on DraftKings and got 21 points. This week, he's only 6,800. They have not learned on DraftKings. He should get over 20 again. That's great value. The Cardinals defense ranks 24th in the NFL against opposing fantasy quarterbacks. Give me Brock Purdy as my upside quarterback hot pick of the week.
All right. Let's see if he can do it. My cold QB of the week is Tua facing off versus the Jets, projected for 15.2 points. Only 3 weeks ago, he faced the Jets, and they had him at 7.8 total points for that game. He hasn't been over 20 points since week 8. And on top of all that, his number 1 option, Tyreek Hill, looks banged up. This is an elite defense and elite corners. So right now, this quarterback is not doing too hot. And with this elite Jets defense, who is second versus quarterbacks in fantasy, Tua is my cold quarterback of the week.
Man, and those Dolphins got to get it together, but that's a tough opponent there, man. You're right. Hey, let's go to the running backs. I'm going back to the guy I just mentioned, Rachaad White, up in the cold in Green Bay. It's not going to be raining, but even if it was or snowing, I think he'd be a great play. The guy's big. He's 215 pounds. It's going to hurt to tackle him up in Green Bay. He's only $7,000 in DraftKings. That's one of the reasons I like him. The value on him is low, so you're not paying $9,000 like you do for Christian McCaffrey. Let's go Rachaad White, my upside running back hot pick of the week.
Okay. My cold running back of the week is going to be Chuba Hubbard from Carolina. He's projected 12.4. He's facing Atlanta. Atlanta's a good defense, man. They're number 2 in fantasy versus running backs right now. He only had 11 points last week. Everyone's talking about this volume he's getting. He had 23 touches, sure, but if he doesn't get touchdowns, he doesn't get points. And with only 11 points last week, with an elite defense coming into town, this Atlanta team, I'd like Chuba Hubbard as my cold running back of the week.
You're right. That looks tough. Good call there. Hey, last week we gave you Deebo Samuel. Didn't we kill it? 34 points and wide receiver 1 in the NFL. And he was only $6,800 in DraftKings. That was the play of the week. At wide receiver this week, I'm going to Chris Olave at home versus that Giants defense. He had a streak that was broken last week. He had 7 games in a row with at least 8 targets. He had 5 targets and 13 points. This past week, I think the targets go back up, as I said, and he's only $7,100, and he's up against the Giants defense that's nearly last in the NFL against opposing wide receiver. He gets back on track again. Chris Olave, my wide receiver, hot pick of the week.
All right. I told you Chris Godwin last week, and that was a hit. My third wide receiver of the week here is Jalen Waddle, projected 13.8 versus the Jets. I know everyone's feeling him because Tyreek might be out. Tyreek's playing. He's going to get the options here. He's had 1 game over 14 points in the last 5 weeks. So he's not getting the high amount of volume that was expected for him throughout this year. He hasn't had a touchdown in the that was his last touchdown was 6 weeks ago. Sorry. So it's been a while since he even scored a touchdown. And these Jets corners are elite. They are number 1 in fantasy versus wide receivers. So watch out for Jalen Waddle playing against the Jets, my cold wide receiver of the week.
Man, you're envisioning a low-scoring game in that Jets game, I can tell.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, let's keep you up at the podium, T-Money. I got a question for you. It's called Take or Mistake, T-Money. I pick a player that had a big week, and T-Money tells us whether we should take the bait this week or would that be a mistake. Okay, so T-Money, I want to ask you about Drake London for the Falcons. London caught 10 of 11 targets for 172 against the Bucs in Week 14. He was wide receiver 2 in the NFL with 29 fantasy points. It was his best receiving output of the season while also notching his second 100-yard game. But he's been terribly inconsistent in the run-first Atlanta offense. So can we trust him this week if we're in the fantasy playoffs to do it against the Panthers? T-Money, can fantasy managers look for some upside? And should they start Drake London in their fantasy playoffs? Is he a take or would that be a mistake?
That's a take, man. I don't know what the haters are looking at versus Drake London here. He's playing Carolina. I know they're a good defense versus wide receivers, but he's been seeing the targets lately, and he played the Jets the week before last, who I just mentioned is the number 1 defense versus wide receivers. If you take that game out, the past 2 games, he's had 14 and 29 points. The 29 points he just had, he didn't even score a touchdown. So this guy I know is a run-first offense, but Drake London is elite. I hope this makes them target him more. He's an amazing receiver. I am starting him in a playoff game because I think his upside is there for a boom or bust game, and I think there's enough targets to have a not too scary of a floor. So, yeah, Drake London, I like as a take if you can.
There you go. Fantasy managers right there coming from T-Money. Good pick. Hey, let's go to DFS. We've had 3 wins this year with my DFS teams, 5 top 5s. So let's see what we can do this week. I'm going to tell you my lineup. Going to start at quarterback with Brock Purdy, only $6,800. I got Rachaad White in there. I've talked about him. Putting Zach Moss in the lineup for $6,200. He's bound to break out. He's getting 95% of the snaps. Yep. Zach Moss. He's going to get in the end zone. That's a good buy at $6,200. I like Olave at the wide receiver with Drake London. Drake London is only $5,400, and Zay Flowers is only $5,700. And Jaden Reed at my flex is only $4,900. Those guys all have upside. I'm going with them. I got Likely at the tight end for $3,700, and the Rams defense getting a bunch of turnovers from Sam Howell.
All right, G. Good luck.
Okay, there we go, everybody. Hey, that's it for today's show. Thanks, Team Money, and thanks to our sponsors, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com, enter FSHS, 10% discount on your whole orders, man. Hey, we hope you had fun and got some tips to help you win in the NFL Week 15. We're going to be back before Christmas. Don't worry. You got time to send us presents. Please feel free to send any hat from any team. I'd love to wear it for you. Father Son Sports, bringing you the energy, everybody. On behalf of T Money, I'm G-Man. See you next week.
All right. Peace.